This video was brought to you by Nebula. Workers in the UK have had it tough. Not only have wages been stagnant for the best part of 2 decades, but on average, UK employees work the longest hours in Europe. It should therefore come as little surprise that 88% of UK employees report experiencing burnout in the last 2 years, and 1 in 3 don't feel like they have a good work-life balance. But luckily for any exhausted or mistreated employees out there, Labour has a plan to remedy this, promising to make work pay and deliver a new deal for working people through their Employment Rights Bill within the first 100 days in office. In fact, the government plans to introduce comprehensive reforms to workers' rights in order to modernise the workplace and improve workers' quality of life. So in this video, we're going to take a look at this new deal, with particular focus on 2 of the most interesting proposals: the right to request a 4-day working week and the right to switch off. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. So what's in this new deal for working people? Well, Labour has pledged to strengthen workers' rights by providing basic rights from day 1 of employment, such as protection against unfair dismissal, parental leave, and sick leave. They also aim to end insecure work by banning exploitative 0-hours contracts, ending the practice of fire and rehire, and introducing fairer employment contracts with predictable hours. But as I mentioned a moment ago, perhaps the most interesting proposals floating around at the moment are the right to request a 4-day working week and the right to switch off. While Labour hasn't formally committed to a 4-day working week, rumours have been circulating, and there are reports that Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is trying to champion the idea. So, how could this actually work? Come spring, could full-time employees have the right to request a 4-day working week? Well, reports suggest that the 4-day working week could be implemented primarily through a system of compressed hours, where employees work their full contracted hours over 4 days instead of 5, allowing them an extra day off without a reduction in pay. According to reports, employers would only be able to refuse a request for compressed hours if they can prove it's, quote, not reasonably feasible, although it's not immediately clear what this means. This approach would likely be more feasible for office-based and full-time workers, who could adjust their daily schedules to longer hours on fewer days, but maybe less applicable in industries like retail, hospitality, or healthcare, where consistent staffing is crucial. But these proposed reforms aren't totally coming out of the blue. As of April 2024, full-time employees in the UK can make 2 flexible working requests per year, and they have the right to make such requests from the first day of employment. This proposal is a natural extension of Labour's broader commitment to expanding flexible working arrangements. By making flexible working the default for all employees, except only in instances where it's not reasonably feasible, Labour aims to empower workers to choose a schedule that suits their needs, whether that's compressed hours over 4 days or other flexible options, without the burden of having to formally request these changes, thereby enhancing work-life balance and potentially increasing productivity. Unsurprisingly, these reports have invited controversy though, with the Conservatives claiming that a system of compressed hours undercuts Labour's promise to prioritise economic growth and would leave businesses petrified. Although it's worth noting that the Conservatives' 2019 election manifesto vowed to make flexible working the default, citing studies that it could increase productivity. In 2022, for instance, 4-Day Week Global organised one of the largest single-country pilot trials in the UK, involving 73 companies and 3,300 employees. Once the 6-month trial was concluded, 86% of companies claimed that it was likely or extremely likely that they would permanently implement the change. In fact, 46% of companies maintained the same level of business productivity during this trial, while 34% reported a slight improvement, and 15% claimed that productivity was significantly improved. Companies in Ireland and New Zealand have also seen similar successes, where the 4-day workweek led to improved focus and efficiency during working hours, and Microsoft Japan reported a 40% boost in productivity from doing just that. In aggregate, 9 out of 10 employees who wish to take part in global trials wish to continue with a 4-day workweek, according to the World Economic Forum. Now, Labour ministers have previously insisted that a shift to a 4-day work week will not only boost productivity and employee retention, but also improve employees' well-being and family life by providing a better work-life balance and saving on transport and childcare costs. The government has since distanced itself from these reports, promising to consult business leaders before any changes are implemented as law. But it's worth mentioning that many of the studies we cited above imply that if it successfully balances productivity demands with the flexibility of a shorter work week, compressed hours could benefit both employees and employers. In addition to this compressed hours policy, Labour plans to tackle burnout by introducing a novel right to switch off from work. Mental Health UK's chief executive, Brian Dow, has warned that the UK is rapidly becoming a burnout nation, with a worrying number of people taking time off due to poor mental health caused by stress. According to its most recent burnout report, Mental Health UK found that burnout affects a fifth of UK employees, with 1 in 5 working adults needing time off over the past year. To remedy this, Labour is committed to giving employees the right to ignore work-related calls and emails out of hours, so that homes don't become 24-hour offices, and to help minimise the risk of an always-on culture blurring the line between work and home life. Ministers are examining post-COVID-19 models from countries like Ireland and Belgium, where the right to disconnect has already been established. For instance, the Workplace Relations Commission in Ireland developed a code of practice that provides all employees, including those who work from home, the right to disconnect from work outside of normal working hours. Belgium has actually gone further, legally enshrining the right to disconnect, which applies to all private companies that employ at least 20 workers. As such, Belgian workers cannot be penalised for refusing to work outside of normal working hours, and there's a legal duty to respect this right. While the exact form of Labour's right to switch off remains uncertain, reports suggest that it may be more likely to be implemented as sort of a code of practice, more akin to what Ireland has. The Times reports that employers who repeatedly violate this right in any form could face significant increases in compensation if taken to a tribunal. Under the current system, if companies are found to have ignored similar codes, compensation in tribunals can increase by up to 25%. So, while breaching an out-of-hours code of practice alone might not lead to litigation, employees could leverage it as an aggravating factor in broader claims, potentially strengthening their case and increasing their compensation. Angela Rayner told union bosses and business lobby groups in August that not everything proposed can make it into the upcoming employment bill, so it remains to be seen which changes Labour will choose to bring. However, the Deputy Prime Minister remains hopeful that the changes will bring benefits to everyone across the country, striving to build a better life. And before you move on with your life, be sure to check out this exciting trailer from our new series. Look, as British people, we often cast a wary eye at our friends across the Atlantic. But honestly, the last few months have been especially wild. We've seen Biden bail from the race after a terrible debate.
My fellow Americans.
The red-blue divide making way for lurid green. Trump accusing Kamala of changing her race. Vance getting accused of couches. Endless memes about coconut trees, and endless arguments over crowd sizes.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes.
Obama making a joke. Trump talking about Biden like an ex he misses. RFK Jr. potentially having worms in his brain before admitting to burying a bear in Central Park. Oh, and an assassination attempt that we all kind of forgot about because of all of the other chaos. I mean, honestly, WTF USA. The thing is though, while it might be tempting to just roll your eyes at these shenanigans, these aren't just meme-worthy moments. And you know I'm serious, because I've not stood up in a video since COVID. But these incidents actually pose important questions, like how much does the Gen Z vote matter this time round? How important will online campaigning and social media prove to be? What impact do running mates have? Okay, I don't have words for that one. These are the kinds of things we'll be explaining in our new Nebula original series, What to Follow USA, only on Nebula. Each week, we'll take the moments that have been dominating internet discourse and explaining the true politics under the hood. Look at me pandering to the American audience. We'll be releasing new episodes of What to Follow every Friday through to the election. The fact that it's on Nebula means we've been able to take more risks with this series. The tone and attitude of the show isn't what you'd expect from TLDR. I'm not sure we've talked about fucking couches on YouTube before, but the journalism and reporting is exactly the standard you'd expect Nebula support also means that we can do things differently, create additional content for you, and tackle topics that the YouTube algorithm just wouldn't normally allow for. It's not just this new series on Nebula either though. There's also incredible originals on the platform like Modern Conflicts from Real Life Lore, or the upcoming documentary from Tom Nicholas, Boomers, which takes a provocative look at the lives and legacy of the baby boom generation. Plus, we also post all of our normal content on Nebula ad-free, and often before it ends up on YouTube. If you want to check all of that out, plus WTF USA, then head to go.nebula.tv/WTF, or click the link in the description. That way, you can pick up an annual Nebula subscription for a huge 40% off. We're really happy with how this new series has turned out, so please do give the series a look. We'd really appreciate it.